Defense and immune mechanisms in plants. Introduction. Plants use a vast array of signals originating from microorganisms and the environment to recognize pathogens and elicit plant defense responses. Non-specific elicitors of biotic and abiotic origin induced host defenses in a broad range of host species. Abiotic elicitors such as heavy metal ions or UV light can induce stress responses in exposed tissues, which may provide an additional barrier to invading pathogens or alternatively increase the plant's susceptibility to infection. Biotic elicitors include cell wall fragments released from fungi and bacteria, hydrolytic enzymes of plant or pathogen origin, some peptides, glycoproteins and polyunsaturated fatty acids. These elicitors induce defense responses in a range of host species. Often, non-specific elicitors act as a general indication that the cell has been damaged in some way. For example, the release of fragments on cell wall can elicit defense response. Let us look at specific elicitors. Specific elicitors enable defense against a very specific pathogen and are conditioned by avirulence genes in that pathogen. Avirulence genes determine the pathogen's host range, but are only able to function in the presence of another set of genes, the hypersensitive response and pathogenicity gene, which is also called as the HRP gene cluster. Some HRP gene products are involved in disguising the pathogen from host recognition, thus playing a role in both virulence and avirulence. For a biotroph to form a successful infection, it must establish a basic compatibility with its host. The pathogen may also produce compatibility factors that delay, avoid or negate recognition by a normally resistant host plant. Virulent strains appear to be able to suppress the resistant mechanisms of the host, but are not able to halt resistant responses once they are activated. Incompatibility between a host and a pathogen results in the recognition of a pathogen and activation of defense mechanisms, while compatibility results in infection. Some elicitors are encoded by avirulence genes, and these peptides are believed to bind receptor peptides which are encoded by host resistant genes. Recognition of the avirulence gene products by the host triggers signal transduction pathways that cause a massive shift in gene transcription and plant cell metabolism, and local and systemic signals are released that prime the rest of the plant against further infection. The presence of non-specific elicitors such as the release of host and pathogen wall fragments during this process may amplify the defense response. Host parasite specific resistance is determined by the interaction between products of pathogen avirulence genes, specific elicitors and products of host resistant genes. The defense responses of plants can be very rapid. Host gene expression begins within minutes or even within seconds of exposure to elicitors or pathogens. A diverse range of elicitors can induce a common set of responses in the host, suggesting that secondary messengers are involved in signaling pathway between pathogen attack and host response. Let us now look at the rapid active defenses. Almost every host parasite interaction is unique in the details of the activation, localization, timing and magnitude of the defense responses. What exactly happens at the membrane? The host membrane appears to be involved in the earliest stages of pathogen recognition and signal transduction. A change in membrane permeability after exposure to a pathogen causes fluxes in ions such as potassium, hydrogen and calcium, and results in changes to gene activation and the triggering of the defense responses. Also at the membrane, the oxidative burst, which involves the generation of reactive oxygen species such as hydrogen peroxide, triggers signals that affect gene expression, cross-linking in the host cell wall and initiation of later defense responses. The reactive oxygen species at the site of infection are also produced in quantities capable of killing microorganisms directly. Now, what happens at the cell wall? Preparations for the reinforcement of the cell wall, which can improve host resistance, begins very quickly after a pathogen attempts to penetrate a host cell. This is characterized by an intensification of cytoplasmic streaming and the accumulation of host cytoplasm around the site of attempted penetration. The cytoplasmic aggregates are thought to contain cellular apparatus for the synthesis of cell wall fortifications. If the host cell can repair and reinforce its cell walls quickly enough, it might reduce the penetration efficiency of the pathogen. Several types of reinforcement are produced by host cells. A papilla is a deposit of callose, silicon, lignin, and proteins between the cell wall and the cell membrane directly below the point of attempted penetration, while lignitubers are lignified callose reinforcements that enshield invading hyphal tips. Hydroxyproline-rich glycoproteins are structural cell wall proteins involved in secondary cell wall thickening. The expression of genes governing their production is activated ahead of invading hyphae, reinforcing walls. Cross-linking of hydroxyproline-rich glycoproteins caused by the release of hydrogen peroxide in the oxidative burst also reinforces cell wall compartments. Rapid deposition of lignin and suberin following infection also increases resistance to pathogens in many ways. Lignin can also bind to hyphal tips and bacteria, physically restraining them and restricting the diffusion of their enzymes and toxins into and the extraction of water and nutrients out of the host cell. Cell wall reinforcements tend to be larger and more quickly formed in resistant hosts than in susceptible hosts, and inhibition of the production of callose or lignin synthesis by the pathogen enhances its penetration efficiency. Let us see what happens in the hypersensitive response. Hypersensitive cell death is another widespread mechanism used by hosts to prevent the spread of pathogen. Infected cells and those surrounding them suicide, preventing further spread and in some cases killing the pathogen. It is often associated with the initiation of other responses such as lignification and the synthesis of antimicrobial compounds. The success of hypersensitive cell death as a resistant mechanism depends on the nutritional requirements of the specific pathogen and the timing, magnitude and the location of the host response. Let us see what are the antibiotic compounds. Phytoxylins are low molecular weight antibiotics produced by many plants in response to infection. There are many biotic elicitors of phytoxylin production such as cell wall components as well as abiotic elicitors such as heavy metals and ultraviolet light. Phytoxylins inhibit the growth of bacteria and fungi in vivo and in vitro, and production of these antibiotics during an infection can induce resistance to subsequent infections by that pathogen. Over 350 phytoxylins are known in over 100 plant species. Pterocarpans, cryptophenols, isocumarins, isoflavonoids and others. Phytoxylins may be produced by any part of the plant, although different phytoxylins can accumulate in different organs. Generally, related plant species produced structurally related phytoxylins and may produce more than once, enabling the plant to present a toxic cocktail to invading pathogens. Phytoxylins are produced in cells surrounding an infection site and delivered to the infected cell packaged in lipid vesicles, creating a toxic microenvironment in the infected cell and hopefully preventing disease establishment. Phytoxylin accumulation is often associated with hypersensitive cell death, although only living cells can synthesize phytoxylins. Some plants can also sequester phytoxylins into vacuoles as stores of inactive sugar conjugates, which can be cleaved and released quickly if an initial defense responses are unsuccessful. Now let us look at the delayed active defenses. Delayed active defenses include contaminant of the pathogen, wound repair, expression of pathogenesis related proteins and the acquisition of systemic resistance. These mechanisms restrict the spread of the pathogen after infection is established and contain the damage to host tissues. Let us see what are the physical responses. The ability to repair wounds can help protect the plant from further infection by other opportunistic pathogens. A secondary meristem in fleshy tissues, fruits, roots and bark, the cork cambium can produce cork cells which have thick suberized walls. These cells can create a barrier to further colonization by the pathogen and in some cases develop an abscission layer around the layer of infection, causing the infected tissue separate from the healthy tissue. Wounded tree trunks often secrete protective gums that seal the wound from further infection. The formation of tylosis in growths if the protoplasm in the xylem parenchyma can also restrict the spread of pathogenic propagules in the xylem, although they also tend to reduce the movement of water through the vessels, causing water stress in the plant. What are the pathogenic related proteins? There is a range of novel proteins synthesized in response to infection, many of which have B-glucanase, chitinase activity. Some pathogenesis related proteins disrupt pathogen nutrition. The presence of low levels of these proteins in healthy plants suggests that they might have other roles in plant growth and development, aside from disease resistance. Chitinase and glucanase accumulate in the vacuoles and glucanase is also sometimes secreted into the intercellular space. They dissolve the fungal cell wall, fragments of which then elicit hypersensitive cell death. The breakdown of the vacuole during decompartmentalization of the cytoplasm results in flood of hydraulic enzymes, which have an antiviral, antifungal and antibacterial activity. The accumulation of pathogenesis related proteins peaks around 7 to 10 days after the initial infection. The presence of these proteins before infection increases the plant's resistance to pathogens, as in the case of systemic acquired resistance. Let us see what is systemic acquired resistance. Systemic acquired resistance or induced resistance is characterized by the increased resistance of a plant to a wide range of pathogens following infection by one pathogen. It is therefore fundamentally different from the specific antigen-antibody mechanism of resistance seen in the immune response of mammals. Rather than providing immunity per se, systemic acquired resistance reduces the severity of later diseases. The development of systemic acquired resistance usually requires the development of a slowly expanding necrotic lesion and other localized responses to infection to release the phloem translocated signal originating from the infected site and the subsequent priming of the plant against further attacks, allowing a more rapid response in the case of future infections. The nature of the signal that triggers systemic acquired resistance is as yet unknown and is likely to be complex signal transduction pathway mediated by the number of stress signals. Salicylic acid plays a key role via interaction with salicylic acid binding proteins that can cause buildup of reactive oxygen species or activate gene expression. The levels of salicylic acid increase around necrotic lesions and remain high in plants that have acquired resistance. It is not, however, salicylic acid itself that acts as the signal that is translocated systematically throughout the plant. Let us see how coordination of defense responses occurs. The success of defense response is increased if activated in combination. Passive mechanisms coupled with rapid active responses and slower follow-up defense provide a broad defense front to the plant. The specific interaction between host and pathogen is of course crucial to the success of the plant's resistance or the pathogen's invasion and is mediated by the many pathways involved in producing or detecting elicitors, enhancers, suppressors and secondary signals. Plants are constantly confronted with a wide variety of potential pathogens within their environment. Nevertheless, the development of disease is the exception rather than the rule due to the highly efficient nature of the coordinated systems of passive and active defenses that have evolved in plants to passive defenses and active defenses. These defenses generally limit the host range of a microorganism capable of causing plant disease to the members of a single plant genus or species and affect all races of particular pathogen. Similarly, however, plant disease resistance can also be induced in specific plant cultivars within the host range or only in response to specific races of pathogen. The specificity of plant responses to pathogens can be classified into two broad categories. Non-specific resistance is the first category, which is general, non-host or basic resistance. This is a response to all races of a particular pathogen and occurs in all cultivars of a host plant species. Let us see what are the non-specific plant disease resistance. Non-specific plant disease resistance is multi-component, relying upon a foundation of passive plant defenses and usually also involving the activation of active defenses by non-specific elicitors of biotic origin. The combination of defenses involved in this type of resistance is highly coordinated and similar for all plant pathogen interactions. However, substantial variation in both the timing and degree of the active component of the plant defense and in environmental factors have been shown to be critical to its success. The genetic basis underlying non-specific plant disease resistance is complex and involves multiple genes that encode proteins with a diversity of functions in both partners of the plant pathogen interaction. Genes conditioning host pathogen specificity are found in a particular subpopulations of the pathogen, plant host or both interacting organisms, and specific plant disease resistance can be subdivided into three major categories on this basis. The first category is the race-specific resistance. Race-specific resistance is induced in response to only a particular race of pathogen, but occurs in all cultivars of the host plant. This type of specific disease resistance is dependent upon genetic variation within the pathogen species and the production of proteins capable of altering the outcome of an otherwise compatible plant pathogen interaction in only certain pathogen races. Number 2 is the cultivar specific resistance. Cultivar specific resistance is activated only in a specific host plant cultivar, but in reaction to all races of a pathogen species. In a few plant pathogen systems where non-specific resistance limits the host range of the pathogens of a plant genus, this type of resistance occurs at the level of the host plant species and is termed species-specific resistance. Cultivar specific or species specific resistance relies upon genetic variation within the host plant species or genus and the production of proteins capable of altering the outcome of an otherwise compatible plant pathogen interaction in only certain plant cultivars or species. The third type is the race cultivar specific resistance, which is also the gene for gene resistance. If both pathogen and host specificity are involved, plant disease resistance is termed race cultivar specific resistance, since it results only from the interaction of a particular pathogen race with a particular cultivar of the host plant. This type of resistance is usually referred to as the gene for gene resistance because in most cases it requires the presence of both a race specific avirulence gene in the pathogen, one or more corresponding cultivar specific resistance genes in the host plant. Avirulence and resistance genes are usually dominant genes which may exist within multi-gene families and undergo a high rate of mutation in response to presence of each other. Maintenance of detrimental avirulence genes is thought to be due to a small additive pleiotropic pathogenicity role in the pathogen. In a small number of cases of race cultivar specific resistance that involve the production of host selective toxins, race cultivar specific resistance relies upon the absence of either a race specific gene conditioning toxic production and a cultivar specific gene governing toxic sensitivity. Let us now look at what are the mechanisms underlying specific plant disease resistance. The biochemical mechanisms responsible for the induction of specific resistance in plant pathogen interactions are poorly understood, but they are likely to vary with both the type of specific resistance and the plant pathogen system involved. The three most common mechanisms underlying specific resistance appear to be race-specific elicitors, host-specific toxins and race-specific suppressors, but others as yet are unknown may also exist. Let us see race-specific elicitors. The majority of cases of race-specific resistance appear to result from the generation by a pathogen of race-specific elicitor of an active plant defense and the recognition of these by the plant host. Resistance with this biochemical basis is often also cultivar specific, since the elicitor interacts with the corresponding plant receptor that is usually unique to a particular cultivar of the host plant. The recognition of the elicitor by its receptor is proposed to occur at the plant plasma membrane for most fungal pathogens and within the plant cell for bacterial and viral pathogens. In bacterial biotrophs such as Xanthomonas and Pseudomonas, which are extracellular plant pathogens, this event is dependent upon a bacterial membrane transport protein that delivers the elicitor into the plant cell and is encoded by the HRP gene complex. Interaction of the elicitor and receptor activates a complex signal transduction pathway resulting in the induction of plant defenses against pathogen races harboring the elicitor. The elicitor is generally the protein that is encoded by the avirulence gene. However, in some plant pathogen interactions, the elicitor has been found to be the product of a reaction catalyzed by this protein. Resistance genes in some cases directly encode cultivar specific receptors of race specific elicitors, and in these cases a direct physical interaction between A virulence and resistance gene products may occur. However, resistance proteins are more likely to function by registering interactions between the elicitor and an unknown target protein or act as unique links in the signaling pathway leading to active plant defenses. Host selective toxins. Race cultivar specific pathogen resistance can also occur due to the production of compounds that are toxic to plants. These host selective toxins are generated in a race specific manner mainly by necrotrophic species of all fungal genera. Alternaria, a few of the approximately 20 known host selective toxins are proteins or peptides that are directly encoded by race specific pathogen genes. However, most are non-protein compounds of low molecular weight that are synthesized in reactions catalyzed by proteinaceous race-specific gene products. Following transport into the host plant cell via a highly coordinated delivery system, host-selective toxins cause cellular damage, but only in toxin-sensitive cultivars that harbor a single gene conditioning toxic sensitivity. The mode of action of host selective toxins is highly variable, but appears to be always involve either activation or inhibition of a cultivar specific protein. Let us see the race specific suppressors. Race specific resistance can also result from pathogen production of race specific suppressors that inhibit a non-specific resistance response. To date, race-specific suppressors have been described for only a few species of biotrophic plant pathogenic fungi, including Phytophthora infestans. In contrast to race-specific elicitors, they are proposed to interfere with elicitor binding, signal transduction, gene expression, or plant defenses to suppress the non-specific resistance response towards races that harbor them. Race-specific suppressors may be proteins directly encoded by pathogen genes governing race specificity or may be non-protein compounds produced by reactions catalyzed by these proteins. Thus, to conclude with, plant disease resistance is a complex phenomenon that most commonly occurs in a non-specific manner as a result of multiple genes conditioning the ability of a pathogen to cause disease and enabling the plant to host a mount of effective defense responses. However, plant disease resistance can also be induced only in response to particular pathogen races, that is race specific resistance, only in particular host plant cultivars, which is cultivar specific resistance, or only when both a specific pathogen race and a plant cultivar interacts, that is race cultivar specific or gene for gene resistance. This host pathogen specificity can be attributed to a single gene or a small number of related genes enabling the production of a race specific elicitors, host selective toxins or race specific suppressors in different host pathogen systems. Specific plant disease resistance resulting from race specific elicitors is probably superimposed upon a non-specific resistance response that has been overcome in the host range of the problem. In contrast, host selective toxins and race specific suppressors most likely achieve host pathogen specificity in disease resistance through the modification or negation of an otherwise successful non-specific resistance response. Thank you.